Hi guys, today we're going to talk about equations that are written in the wrong format that we have to transform so they are sitting in slope-intercept form. So what I'd like you to do is take a piece of notebook paper, write your name and date on the top, and then you're going to fold your paper in fourths like you see here. And please label each box 1, 2, 3, and 4. In this video, we're going to go through 4 examples, and then you'll use the back of your paper to do a couple practice problems independently. So go ahead, pause the video, and once you are ready, press play, and we will complete example number 1. So our first example, we have the equation 2x plus 3y equals 6. And what I want to do is take that equation, and without changing its meaning in any way, I want to rewrite it so that it's sitting in the format y equals mx plus b. And the most important thing to recognize here is that the y is on the left side of the equal sign, and it's the only term on the left-hand side. Immediately to the right of the equal sign is our slope and the variable x. And then we have the plus or minus and the constant sitting on the end by itself. So looking at the equation that I'm dealing with, I recognize that the y should be staying, but everything else over here has to go. So the first thing I'm going to do is take this 2x and work to move it to the right side of the equal sign. And in order to do that, I have to eliminate it from the left side. So knowing that it's a positive 2x, to get rid of it, I'm going to pair it with a negative 2x. And just like we've always done with equations, whatever we do to one side, we have to do to the other. So what ends up happening is this minus 2x goes away on the left-hand side, and we brought it over to the right-hand side. So my new equation right now is 3y equals negative 2x plus 6. So I'm one step closer to getting y by itself, but I see now that I have that coefficient of 3 to deal with. In order to leave the y where it is, but eliminate the 3, I need to use inverse operations. So the 3 and the y are being multiplied, the opposite is to divide. So I'm going to divide that y by 3. When I do that, because it's an equation, and we do the same thing on both sides, I then have to divide every other term by 3. After doing the division, 3 divided by 3 will leave me 1y, which is exactly what we were going for. And then I'll have negative 2/3 x plus 2. If I take a look at my new equation, I see that I accomplished my goal. The y is by itself on the left-hand side. The slope and the x are in the middle, and the constant number, or the y-intercept, is off to the right. Let's take a look at a second one. So in box 2 on your paper, please write down 6y equals 4x minus 18. And this time I notice that I only have one number that I have to eliminate to get y by itself, and that's the 6. The 6 and the y are being multiplied, and since I want to leave the y but move the 6, I'm going to use opposite operations, and I'm going to divide by 6. And just like before, if I divide the left-hand side of the equation by 6, then everything on the right side also gets divided by 6. So when I do that, the 6 divided by 6 gets me my 1y. 4 over 6 simplifies to the fraction 2/3 x. And then 18 divided by 6 is 3. So my rewritten equation is y equals 2/3 x minus 3. Our next example, so this will be in box 3 on your paper, is 5x minus y equals 2. And again, I want to get y all by itself on the left-hand side. So my first job is to get rid of this 5x. In order to get rid of a positive 5x, I subtract 5x. Whatever we do on the left side of the equation, we also do on the right side of the equation. So once I get rid of the 5x, I'm left with negative y equals. Now, when I'm looking over here, keep in mind the 2 and the negative 5x are not like terms, so I can't combine them and call that a negative 3x. So since I can't combine them, they stay as two independent terms. And I'm always going to write it so that the number with the x comes first and the constant, or the number that's by itself, comes second. So therefore it becomes negative y equals negative 5x plus 2. Now the y is very close to being by itself, but I do have this negative sign, which tells me there's an invisible 1, so this is a negative 1y. So in order to eliminate that negative 1, I'm going to divide the y by negative 1, as well as every other term by negative 1. And when I do that, I end up with a positive y, which is exactly what I want. Negative 5 divided by negative 1 gives me positive 5x. And then positive 2 divided by negative 1 gets me a negative 2. So my new equation is y equals 5x minus 2. We're going to do one more together, so go ahead and write this down in box 4 of your paper. 3x minus 9y equals negative 27. And just like before, we want to get the y by itself. So I'm going to start with this 3x. In order to eliminate a positive 3x, I subtract 3x. Whatever happens on the left has to happen on the right. So we're also subtracting 3x on the right-hand side. Again, the negative 27 and the negative 3x are not like terms, so I can't combine them together and call it negative 30x. So I leave them sitting as independent terms. I'm choosing to put the negative 3x first and the negative 27 second so that it follows this mx plus b format. Now that the 3x is gone, I'm going to work to eliminate that negative 9 on the left-hand side. Since I want to leave the y and just get rid of the negative 9, I'm going to use inverse operations. So since I see multiplication, the opposite of multiplying is dividing. I'll divide that term by negative 9, and therefore I will divide every other term by negative 9. So what I end up with is a positive y equals negative 3 over negative 9 simplifies to 1/3 x, and then negative 27 divided by negative 9 simplifies to positive 3. So my new equation is y equals 1/3 x plus 3. At this time, I'd like you to flip your paper over. Go ahead, pause the video. I'd like you to rewrite each of these three equations in y equals mx plus b format, and when you are ready to check your answers, go ahead and press play. Okay, welcome back. So what you see now is the work and the answers for each of the equations. So number 1, you should have y equals negative 1/2 x minus 4. Number 2, y equals 2x plus 8. And number 3, y equals 3x plus